Hi, welcome back to my channel. So I don't know how you found me, but I'm glad you did. If you're wondering why you clicked my face or just how'd you get here? Well, Turo is an app and a website where you can make some money, like so much money with your personal cars renting out to strangers. I know, right? It's crazy. This channel will help you maximize the amount of money that you can make and rules and everything. I go over my tips, tricks, and stats every single Thursday, and it will help you out. So let's get into this video. So the first thing I'm gonna say is I'm starting this new thing on Patreon. If you are a new host, or maybe you are a host and been doing it a while, but you want some one-on-one coaching, or if you got some questions that you want to ask me in real time, you have some issues, I would say look at my description and go to Patreon and sign up. I just started it. I believe I have it at about like $5 a month. I'm always on there. I'm going to be uploading all kinds of things on there that I'm not going to have for my regular, my regular free content. So if you want to, go check that out. So let's get into this video. So this video is going to be about, what you need to do if you want to, if this is you, if you are trying to become a new host, or if you just started, you have no idea what to do. I know, this is gonna help you out. I got a lot of content for you. So the first thing, when you're trying to get into Turo, you need to find out what kind of car that you can get. Like, first thing you can do, you can watch my video, which I'm gonna put right here, how to buy, auto loan, lease, and cash. I'm not gonna go into that because that's in that video. What I'm gonna go into is stuff I haven't talked about that video, as in negative equity. So when you get in a car for Turo, you need to get a car that is whatever way you do it, cash, loan, lease, whatever, you need to get a car that is close to what the car is worth. And you wanna know why? It's a big thing, because if something happens to that car, Turo is only going to pay out what the car is worth. Simple as that. So what do you mean, Matt? So what I mean is, you buy a car from a dealership for about $20,000, and the car is only worth about $12,000 as soon as you drive it off the lot. And you're like, oh, okay, I'm down $8,000. So what if that car gets wrecked next month on Turo? Do you think Turo is gonna pay you out $20,000? No, that ain't gonna happen. That's not how Turo operates. Turo is probably gonna pay you at a max for about like $12,000. So you're like, oh, how am I going to get $8,000? Did you get the gap? Did you not? If you didn't get the gap, you're like, oh, damn, that doesn't seem fair. Or you try to use the gap, but most gaps are voided when you do, commercial stuff, like rentals. So that means that you were just out of money. And if you didn't understand this, you would probably be mad at Turo, or just have a bad experience. Maybe you stop doing it. But what if you knew about this, going in? And so that's why I'm telling you now. Like, when you first start, especially when you first start, you got to get a car that is as close as possible to what the car is worth. Simple as that. So once you get that car, the next thing you need to do is that you need to look at your listing, your new listing. You go through all little questions and answer all those things. Then you need to wonder what price do you should put at. And also I have a video about that, how to price your vehicles. But maybe you are overwhelmed by the pricing. I mean, there's so many ways that you can price your car. Let me go back a little bit. After you figure out what car it is, you have to figure out how much money you want to make. Do you want to just cover the car loan, or do you just want to cover the car loan and the insurance, or do you actually want to make some money off the car? Do you just want to get your feet wet and just see what happens, that? And if that is you, which I think that's probably most people who start doing this, and I believe like being on the 60-40 plan, you keep 60, Turo takes 40. I know it's kind of a lot, but Turo takes 40, but then you are like fully, more likely, hopefully you do follow the terms of service, more than likely you'll be covered, by most things. The chance that you come out of pocket is really slim to none on like basically all minor stuff. See, that is something that, that will help you, that will get you started. Are you going to profit a lot of money like that? Not really. I mean, it's not 60/40 plan isn't really, it's not really worth it if you have just a regular sedan and you have a loan on it with insurance. It doesn't work like that. That's in that situation, like I said, you will probably only be making enough money to cover the car loan and that, because all the extra money you probably be paying in taxes, and you won't really be profiting anything off of that. Not much. But yeah, that's a way to get you started so you can understand, and then you can get a feel of your market, and you can see how much, how many damage claims come in a month, in 2 months, in 3 months, or in 4 months, and then you can make a decision. Can you go to the 70, the 75, the 80, or even the 85%, which is what I'm on. 85% is like the one with the most risks, 85% is the one that you were on the hook for the first $2,500 in damages. That at the beginning, probably not going to be something for you unless you have, I'm just going to say, even if you have a big bankroll, it doesn't matter. Just to understand what Turo is and how Turo operates, terms of service, I think it's best to be on the 60/40 plan. Simple as that. So let's say, okay, let's go. First, we got the car. Then we got how much money you're gonna make. But then you got to understand there's a lot of issues that arise. A lot of issues. That's why I've made so many videos, but there's a lot of issues. From, let's go from the next thing that will happen is somebody books your car. So are you going to be Instabook? Are you going to Instabook, or are you going to screen everybody? And obviously I've talked about that actually in my last video. I'm not going to go in detail about that, but that's something else that you need to understand, which one is which one's better, which one is better from whatever area that you're in. What is your clientele? Is it tourists? Is it locals? I mean, these are things that you got to know. And when you're new, you don't know, right? You don't know. You can ask people, but in the end, the only way you're going to know is by doing it and collecting the data and coming to a conclusion that will help you in your business, right? That's what you have to do. Simple as that. So if you want to know what I'm talking about, Instabook or Accept All and how you should do that, I would just look at that video right there. That video is in detail about all of that. So once you get that, okay, let's go back. You get the car, you figure out the pricing, you figure out how much you want to, give Turo so that you're covered. And then you figure out, if you're going to screen everybody or if you're going to accept everybody. The next thing you got to figure out is, are you going to turn on delivery? Delivery is another thing that, it could be another way that you can make more money. It's another way that can put you one leg up on, on the other people, on your competition around you. But it all depends on where you're located, right? So where you're located. Are you close to hotels? Are you close to the airport? Turo has a maximum of $120. And depending on your insurance plan, like if you're on the 60/40, they're going to take 40% of that $120. So you see how much money that is. That's not that much money. That's much less. And you're like, okay, what does that mean? That means it's probably not going to be worth it unless you're like in the right location where you don't have to pay that much to do deliveries. So when you're new, probably deliveries I'm going to go with, it's probably not something that you should mess with at the beginning. So after you figure that out, let's go look at the listing and what are things that are common things that new hosts don't understand. I found out recently about the miles. Like right now, the standard miles is 200. That's the standard. You can't go below that for regular vehicles. So there's different levels of vehicles, right? Maybe you don't know. They got the regular cars, then they got the Deluxe, Then they got the Super Deluxe. I think there's one more after that. I don't know what that one's called, but they got all that. So the one that's where most cars fall into is just a regular, and it's 200 miles. But you can put it as high as you want. But the problem with putting it high, you might think, like, I was talking to somebody and I was looking at his profile and he had it for 300. I was like, for a regular car, I was like, no. Don't do that, because people will abuse that. Abuse it. I'm telling you, people will go out of the state. They will drive crazy amount of miles. And one of the biggest thing, you know, what miles represent is depreciation of your cars. I mean, that's like the one of the biggest expenses that some hosts understand, some hosts don't understand. And when you try to get rid of a car, depreciation comes into play, and that's kind of minuses, you know, from your gains or whatever, how long you had the car. But the miles, you know, you got to have it at the minimum. Like if you did get a deluxe car, you know, you ask yourself, what is a deluxe? A deluxe is something, I believe it's about, well, the car is worth about $40-something thousand. So basically it's of the nicer cars, and then you can get to like down to 100 miles a day. So that's good. I mean, 100 miles a day, and then the overages, yeah, then you get overages if they go over, which a lot of people are definitely going to go over 100. Pretty sure that they will. Before they changed that, you know, before it was $100 right there. That was the minimum across the board, $100. So that was another good way for Turo Host to make money, but Turo stopped all of that for various reasons. But yeah. So what's the next thing, right? So let's see. You got the car, you know, you got the price, you got the miles, you figure it out. You don't want to do delivery. You figure out the Instabook or not. Then what's the next thing that you can do that you need to know? So let's see. Let's go. The next thing would be, you got all that done. You got the car booked. And the next thing is the check-in. I know the check-in is crazy. Check-in can be overwhelming sometimes. You know, you get people from like all over the world trying to book your car. Some people try to take advantage of you. Trust me. There are people who take advantage of the Turo platform. The Turo platform brings in like horrible people, especially the horrible local people. But they bring in horrible people with fake credit cards, because you can book this. Let me tell you, you can book Turo literally with a prepaid card with about $200 on it with a fake ID. Simple as that. Turo don't check that stuff, and they don't. So it's literally, you are the last line of defense. So basically, when you meet them, or if you don't meet them, I recommend, to be honest, meeting everyone. Doing remote check-in, you have to, okay, I'm gonna go over both. I'm gonna start remote. So doing the remote check-in, you have to ask them for their ID, and they have to take a picture by the car. So basically holding up their ID next to the car and send it to you. And then you verify that. You look at that, make sure the name matches, make sure that the date of birth matches, and all of that. Because if something there is wrong, and mind you, it's upload already, so Turo can see that. And if there is an accident, Turo more than likely will deny coverage. That's what Turo does. And then you do it, you know, you've done it remote, and all the, you know, photos are there, and then maybe you missed something. You missed a day, maybe the date is wrong. They more than likely, if there's an accident or anything, they will deny coverage, which is a big thing. You know, when you're new, you don't understand, you're trying to go fast and you don't get it. So that's why I don't really recommend doing remote. Definitely not new. Remote can be tricky, but doing it, meeting them, which is what I do, I think that's the number one. You meet them, you know, you can shake their hand or whatever. You don't have to, but you smile, you have a little conversation, and then you physically look at their ID. And I think that's the way to go. Because what if, like, when you physically check their ID, and maybe you missed looking at something, right? And then what if something happens, but at the same time, there's nothing on record that says that the stuff there's mismatch in the stuff. So that's different from the, doing the remote. And there's something, there's evidence for that. So I'm just gonna say that is with that. But getting back to the check-in, I do have a check-in video, so I'm not gonna go all in detail, but you can watch that check-in video, which I'm gonna put right there. But the point is, you gotta take photos. Don't just give them a car and just go. Don't do that. You gotta take photos. You can be thorough or not be thorough. I take between 30 and 40 photos. Some people take 200. Since I'm on an 85% plan, I know if anything does happen, more than likely, I'm gonna get them to pay for it, or I'm gonna pay in my pocket. Turo's not paying anything, so I don't really care about some of the things that I would if I had a Tesla and I was renting on like the 60/40 plan. So obviously I'll be taking 100 photos, but I don't need that for what I have. So that is the next thing, right? The check-in. So after check-in, or I'm gonna say during check-in, there's another scenario during check-in that I've been hearing that people don't understand. About when somebody sends you, it's just two things. Somebody sends you a message and they say, oh, hey, we're not gonna be there, and they add an additional driver, and they're trying to say, can the additional driver come to pick up the car, right? Wrong. The primary driver has to show up no matter what, especially, when you meet them, because you're checking that they have to, because they're the ones are the initial driver. You're checking the ID, because the secondary driver, the responsibility of them is with the primary. The primary is responsible for them. Simple as that. Then also, if you did the remote, then you got to upload the photos and all that stuff. And remote be a little bit different because you're not there, you don't know. But the person has to be there to take a photo of it. So boom, that's how that works with that. And then the next thing is about what? Let's get this scenario. Someone asks you, hi, I want to pick up the car a few hours early, or hi, I want to drop the car off a few hours late. These things happen a lot. They will happen to you multiple times, and you got to understand that the insurance is only for that time that you see. That is it. Do not give the car late. Do not approve the car to just come back after the time. You got to tell them to change the time. Press change trip length on both, even if it's only for an hour and they get charged for a day. That's what they have to do. Or you have to charge for all those things, which I'm gonna put the video right here that you can charge for all the fees. I go over every single fee that you can charge in detail. And that's when those fees come into place on both ends, because there are fees, And then also, let's say you get this. Oh, hey, I just left the car somewhere, wherever, you gotta go get it. You got to, what else? You got to go repo a car. You have a tracker in it, which I do, I do believe you should have a tracker. You have, especially on the mainland, you have a tracker and you have to go get your car. And there are lots of fees, especially the improper return, late fee. Make sure you're 2 hours late. Make sure you get the 2 hours, or just, you're 2 hours late, regardless. Proper return, no matter what, is 2 hours late. Simple as that. That's just how that goes. It's 2 hours late. You get paid more. That's their fault for, for whatever reason. Because you can get improper return for someone trying to steal your car, somebody just forgetting, maybe somebody slept in, or maybe someone just said, I'm done, I don't care. They just drop the car off and just dig out and leave. All those fees, that's what you got to do. You got to have no heart in this business. Big business has no heart. They charge people for everything. These things, you did this stuff with Hertz, you will be charged so much money, it ain't even funny. It is simple as that. But yeah, what's the next thing? Okay, they have the car for whatever days they have it. After that, what other things? There are going to be some more things that arise when the car is out. I can't think of every single scenario. It's things are going to happen, but I'll say about 90% of the trips, it's going to be smooth, no issues, nothing. But the next thing, that's what I can talk about also. When the car is out on a trip, what can happen? What do you think? Car breaks down. That is something that could be scary to new hosts. That, to me, car breakdown, whatever. I'm used to it. I know I have things in place, but car breaks down, what can you do? There are a few things you do. If you watch my other videos, which I'm gonna put right here for tows and stuff, I don't use Turo for tows because either they charge you or charge them no matter what. So I have something set up, which, if you want to watch that video. So I would, we gotta figure out what the problem is, or can it be driven back? And I mean, if you have other cars, try to get them switched over to another car. But to do that, you got to get Turo on the phone, because if you start just giving people, another car without, talking to Turo, that kind of like, that car doesn't have the insurance, right? That's the problem. I've done it a few times because it was like one day and I just didn't have time. I couldn't get Turo on the phone. I didn't want to deal with it. I took a risk, right? But I knew the risk. Maybe you don't know the risk, but if you do what I just said, that is a risk. If that car got into an accident, Turo's not covering that. Simple as that. They will 100% deny it. So I don't recommend doing that. Just don't do it. I don't recommend doing that. You just got to just tell them there's no car. You're going to refund them. I was on the phone with Turo and just refund them. Simple as that. That's what you got to do. You got to get on the phone and refund them. That's how and then take it to the shop or something, or fix it yourself, or just get the car back on the road. Simple as that. And another thing about accidents, what if, the next thing, the car comes back, and there's some kind of, I don't know, maybe there's something minor on the car and you're like, oh, this car goes out in 6 hours. What can I do? Maybe you got a minor scratch on the car. And you're like, can I rent it out like this? You know what? Just, if it's really minor, then just tell them when they show up. If it's a little bit more than minor, maybe just minor, just call the renter and tell them exactly what happened. I would say most of them won't care. Unless you were renting some, like a Ferrari, some crazy stuff. So obviously they will care because they want that experience, the experience of a really, really nice car, not something that's all scratched up. That's how that works. And what else? I know I'm going over so many things. I know that, there's so many things in this business you got to know. I thought about putting this in 2 parts. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know, but there's lots of things. But let's go to the thing. I've already said the car came back. There's an accident. So what's the next thing? Okay, let's dig a little bit more into accidents. I am going to make a video just about what happens if there is an accident. I know that I have 2 videos about accidents, but I don't think I go in detail enough for people to understand. So I'm definitely going to talk about that probably my next video or the video after, or sometime next month. Point is, I'm gonna do that. But I'm gonna go over just a little bit. So a car comes back and it has an accident. Point is, what do you do? I know, what do you do? If you're new, you don't really understand what do you do, especially if you've never been to my channel, you don't know either. Turo, they don't really tell you, like there's lots of options, there's lots of scenarios that you don't use Turo. You know what I mean? I know, it's crazy, that there's lots of scenarios that you just don't use Turo. And you got to understand, you got to understand which way you're going to go with an accident. And that's why I'm going to go over it in detail in another video, I believe, not this video. But I'm just going to say there are different ways to do that with accidents. Thank you for watching this far. If you watched this far, I'm pretty sure you liked this video. So I would say hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that bell so you can get all of my notifications of all of my juicy content. But thank you for watching, and stay tuned for next week's video. It's gonna be a good one.